Welcome to Two Girls Talk Transits with our hosts.
Hi, I'm Maddie.delrae. I'm a professional practicing astrologer with a focus more on Hellenistic traditional astrology and with an intense love and desire for predictive transiting astrology.
And I'm Kaleigh Smith. I'm a healing coach and art therapy grad student with a slight obsession with reading the stars. I combine astrology, spirituality, and traditional psychology to help people live with intention. Without further ado, we welcome you to Two Girls Talk Transits, where we talk about all the upcoming astrological transits and what you can do to keep yourself sane and absolutely aligned. Okay.
Hello and welcome to the next episode of Two Girls Talk Transits. We'll be reviewing the general astrology through March 3rd through March 9th. So I'm your host, Maddie.
And I'm Kaleigh.
Let's get started. So on the 3rd, we have Venus in Aquarius making a square to Uranus and Taurus. And this is, the split energy. Again, we have some planets in Pisces and we have Venus and Mars still back in Aquarius. But here they're making those disrupting squares to Uranus and Taurus that we had all through Aquarius season. And this may take place more in your relationships experiencing some change, or even the things that you thought you were attracted to, maybe having a disruption or challenge. How are you? I like these, but they can be a little chaotic. How are you feeling about this
Yeah,
in your own?
I was taking some notes about, Venus square Uranus. And it's interesting because, Venus in Aquarius is also like Aquarius is traditionally, I know you don't use this, but ruled by Uranus. Yeah, Maddie uses mundane.
Saturn.
Yeah.
It's the traditional Hellenistic astrology rulership. Yes.
Yeah. So she uses Saturn as the ruler of Aquarius, and other astrologers will use Uranus as the ruler. So, either way, I guess if you're using Uranus as the ruler, it's kind of like that disruption element, disruptive change, all of these innovative, all of these things. So yeah, I just kind of interpreted it as this like sudden urge for maybe some freedom in whatever area of your life these placements are taking place. For me, for example, let's just give an example. Um, I have Uranus in my first house and I have Venus in my 10th. So if we're looking at my 10th, I might have like this sudden urge for freedom within my career or my public image, or feeling like I need to break free in some way, or even this can even represent some sort of breakthrough. So a breakthrough could come through. Um, yeah, I feel like,
Yeah, that's a good point. Because Uranus is all about like breaking out of a containment, of a confinement, and Saturn ruling Aquarius, right? Those are usually things, and not even taking Saturn to this equation. Like Aquarius is a fixed sign. Fixed signs generally don't change as much. Now, being an air sign, Aquarius is going to be easier to change in that way. But still, there's this whenever you break free from something that's fixed and stable, it's always more shocking than if something was like more flexible, right? Like if you think about like a pencil versus like a bendy ruler or something, like if something's already bendy and you shock it. It's just gonna bend and be like, okay, cool, new change. If something is like more solid, like a Saturn or like Aquarius kind of sign or a fixed sign, and you try to break it, it's gonna snap and it's going to be
Mhm.
much shocking and kind of like really shake up what you were traditionally fixed to or assigned to, and it can be more jarring in that way. But with Venus in the equation, I think it's going to be something that's like, we've been dying for this change, or this has been something I've been really seeing or moving towards anyway, and it's something we needed, or perhaps in relationships bringing a little more excitement to that life.
Yeah, absolutely. I think here I also mentioned that Venus can be like taking a pulse, like it can kind of be, how are you feeling about this current situation? Venus is really asking you to assess your feelings surrounding it and your relationship with this given area of your life. Venus represents relationships, but it doesn't necessarily have to be like your partnership or a
Mhm.
friendship. It can be your relationship to a certain aspect of your chart. So it's asking you to kind of maybe tap into, how's that relationship with, for me, career? How does that feel
Right.
for you right now? What changes can you implement? And it's probably likely that you've been feeling this for a while, and Uranus can kind of be there to maybe it's these like little earthquakes or little like seismic events that are coming
Mhm.
in to disrupt things so that you can eventually reach a state of feeling a little bit better about it if you currently don't feel maybe the most aligned in whatever area that is.
Right. Yeah. Good point with that, with like taking a pulse, because, Mars is not too far behind Venus, and it won't be this week, or it will be this week later. Mars is going to make that same aspect to Uranus. So this is like testing the waters, and then Mars is going to be that more bigger explosion potentially. So get
Mhm.
clear on like, what do you want to attract in that part of your life now?
Yeah, that's a good point because Mars is gonna feel way worse. Like, yeah, Venus is like, hey, like excuse me, like we're alerting you in like a softer way, and then Mars
Yeah.
is be like the megaphone. Yeah,
Screaming.
yeah,
Yeah. Change.
I know.
So keep
Mm.
that in mind as you start off this week, moving forward. On the 4th of March, which, by the way, is Kayleigh's birthday, and we are going to be doing a special episode around her solar return for that. So be on the lookout for that. Um, but on the 4th of March, we have Mercury in Pisces making that sextile to Uranus, really softer aspect, but this is a creative approach. So, like, if Venus and squaring Uranus was like, okay, this is not working. I don't like this that I'm attracting into my life. I want to change this. Mercury in that sextile to Uranus is going to be like, okay, here are some ideas. What about
Mhm.
trying this? What about changing this? Like, being more open to looking at things differently.
Yeah, you did a really nice progression there. Like, how are we going to evolve from one transit to the next? That's a
Mhm.
really good point. Yeah, I feel like Mercury in Pisces is going to bring us those how do you say, it's not innovative like Aquarius innovative, it's innovative like that it
Mhm.
changes our perspective to
Mhm.
maybe be more spiritual minded or more like bigger picture of like higher truth. You
Mhm.
know, like what does this actually mean for me on a spiritual level, or yeah, evolved to a higher perspective.
Yeah, I like that. Like, it is more of like looking at things maybe with more of a trust or magical thinking kind of lens. Like,
Mhm.
okay, this seems really impossible to create this change in my life. But like, what if it was possible? Like, what if this did fall into my lap? Like, what would I do next? Like, having more of that fantastical, imaginative thinking will bring you kind of bigger ideas that may or may they may happen. You don't know.
Yeah, that's a really good point and such a Pisces thing. Like,
Right?
that's such a good point. Yeah, like Pisces is always like the unrealistic, like
Hmm.
this actually could potentially happen. You don't really know if it
You don't
could or
know.
couldn't. Yeah. So, yeah, play with those ideas, play with those like big manifestation ideas that you may have. And maybe it's a good day to picture like best case scenario, thinking if, if you had a magic wand, they use this a lot in therapy, but um, it's like if you had a magic wand and everything in your life was perfect tomorrow, what would that day look like?
Mm.
And, playing with this idea, like if it could be the best scenario, what would that best case scenario be? And yeah, I like getting into the energy that that is possible.
Yes,
Hmm.
definitely. Trust that process a little bit more than trying to be super analytical about it. But also, don't get carried away because unfortunately, throughout that week, it's a little quieter. But on the 8th, towards the end of that week, Mercury will be meeting Neptune in Pisces. And
Yeah.
I mean, this is good for that kind of really creative, imaginative thinking, but I mean, Neptune.
God.
I know you like Neptune a little bit more, but I feel like sometimes Neptune, like you just don't know what is going on. It can be
Hmm.
so confusing. It's like this layer of fog, and Mercury is our mental processing and how we think, like how we plan and move forward, and Neptune is like fogging it up and like, oh, but this and that and this could be, and you just kind of really can lose sight of everything that's actually happening, which can be good because escapism can be really creative and generative. The escapism can also be like you're avoiding reality completely.
Yeah. Yeah, it can be really detrimental also. I feel like I don't know if it's true for everybody, but if you're listening to this, you probably will be in Pisces season. I've been feeling more of like those escapism tendencies,
Mm-hmm.
and that could definitely come to this like culmination point during this conjunction. There was something else that you had touched on that I wanted to respond to, but what was it? Oh, I feel like uh we were talking about rulership earlier,
Mm-hmm.
and you use Pisces as ruled by Jupiter, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Pisces can also be seen as ruled by Neptune.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that for me, I'm a bit more comfortable with Neptune energy because I am a Pisces. So that kind of like that foggy thinking and kind of feels like it's an element of who I am. I don't really
Mm-hmm.
like need to be analytical all the time or have all the answers all the time. So it doesn't feel that terrible to me, but it depends on what area of life it is in for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead.
No, it's just that that is who are you as a person? Like generally, where does your natal Mercury sit, right? Like
Mhm.
too, like are you more of an analytical, like highly detailed processing person who needs facts, numbers, understanding of each little part of the equation? Or are you somebody who thinks a lot more bigger picture and more theoretically and more like responsive to that? You're gonna have an easier time with this transit than somebody who's just natally uncomfortable with that transit
For sure. Where's your natal Mercury?
in Libra.
Oh yeah. Maddie has a
Yeah.
ton of Libra energy. She's like Libra girl.
Yeah. I have like Neptune squaring my moon, like exactly. And I just don't, I can definitely get into the toxic side of Neptune. Like, I don't know how to
Hmm.
merge the energies well sometimes. Like, it's either or for me, which is not the best way to think, which is very Libra, though, balancing, right? It's either one
Hmm.
side or the not, right?
Hmm. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, Neptune can be kind of like a slippery slope. It can be,
Mm-hmm.
it has these good, really good elements like this fantastical thinking and this
Mm-hmm.
like ability to immerse yourself in something that might not be realistic, but can be like beautiful in a way that it's like imaginative and things like this. But it can also be, like you mentioned, this dark space where you can slip into escapism. And sometimes it's really hard to pull yourself out of that. Um, yeah, and it feels really yucky actually to be like, like if that's
Well,
your emotional regulation to escape, it can be really hard to.
Yeah, it is, but, like, I think too, Neptune's, like, intoxicating, like, it
Mhm.
is drugs, like, that is where we find drugs and alcohol and things that literally escape us from reality, which can feel so intoxicating because this new reality we're experiencing is beautiful and fun and free, and there's no worries, and, like, you can get like addicted to that, and that can
Mhm.
like, oh no, there's a balance, right? I have to come back out of this space too. Sometimes I can go into that space, but I also have to leave it. Can't stay there. And that's where I think the slippery slope really comes into play.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting because I feel like Neptune can also represent meditation,
Mm-hmm.
and people can become addicted to meditation, become addicted to like escaping,
Mm-hmm.
the situation. And that didn't occur to me until like really later on in my own spiritual like evolution, spiritual journey. But yeah, meditation can also be a way to tap out, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
We all need that, like, not to like hark on this too much, like we all need to like let go of control and let go of too much, obsessing over the really more practical material things. We have to give ourselves breaks, but
true.
just the other side of that is there too.
Yeah. So after we have that, we're moving on to the ninth with Mars and Aquarius squaring Uranus.
Yep, right back to that March 3rd energy when Venus was there. So this is like, I could see this progression as like, okay, Venus kind of gave you that pulse. Mercury is now giving you all these ideas, and Mercury and Neptune is like extra onto like, oh man, all these possibilities. You could create
Hmm.
this and you could do this. And then Mars is like, all right, I'm ready. Let's do it. Let's just fucking do it. Like, cut it out, cut it out. I want it out. I want to do this. I'm going to take this action. I don't care who it disrupts or scares or even like bulldozes into my path. I am moving forward. I am making this change, and I just don't care. Have fun.
Yeah, that's so, yeah, that's a good mention of Mars. Mars is like that. So Mars and is associated with Aries, and Aries is like the Aries and Scorpio, but Aries is like the go-getter, and it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
care who, like you said, who it tramples over to get what it wants. And some of us are more comfortable in that energy than other people. Like some of
Mm-hmm.
us are like middle fingers up, I don't care. See you later. And then other people are like, excuse me, please. Like, can I be here too? So yeah, we're all gonna be faced with this energy, and it's gonna bring up different levels of comfort within, yeah, each of us. Some of us are gonna feel really nice here, depending on how prominent Mars is in our chart and how comfortable we are with Mars energy. And then others of us are gonna be like, this is freaking uncomfortable. But
But the either way, I think this is really good for like if you do feel stuck in your life. Like if you are feeling stuck in some
mm,
part of your life, this is this like portal or this like day in this moment where you can just be like, I'm done with this feeling and I'm going to do something. And you may not even really understand what you're doing or how it's playing out, but like it's creating that sense of freedom and that authority and autonomy in your life to make a change, right? Like to actually change and take control of your life versus kind of playing victim to it sometimes.
yeah, that's a really good mention. Yeah. I think, it's also gonna tap into like our relationship with change in general. How comfortable
Yeah.
are we with that? Yeah. But
Yeah, this is a big theme. Change in
yeah.
general is a big theme for March and April, by the way. So,
Yeah, for sure. With all these, like we have a lot of aspects to Uranus.
mhm.
So, yeah, definitely change is the name of the game here.
Yes. Were you going to add on anything to that?
No, no, nothing more than you added, just that, yeah, just what we already mentioned.
Yeah. So the ninth is a big day, but that's like the main marker for the ninth is that Mars squaring Uranus. But the positive side, which is why I think it could be a little more constructive, is the Sun in Pisces is also making that same sextile to Uranus that Mercury
Mhm.
made earlier in the week. And that is like you're leaning more into the change. You're leaning more into the disruption. Like your ego and your desires and your inner light is like, ooh, this is exciting. And like, maybe your actions are a little more harsh or brass, but like you could be easily more like kind of seeing how it's unfolding for you in a way that you want it to be. And I don't know, it's a nice little like positive note to this, I think.
Yeah, I wonder if, like you mentioned, it's hard as an astrologer to know how everything is going to plan out, and it's hard to exactly predict things, but there is a potential here with the sun in Pisces that it feels like a little bit warmer, like it feels like it
Hmm.
could be, like you said, something exciting, or maybe even though Mars there is making that square to Uranus, um, even though it's a bit tense, it could feel like you're on the verge of something exciting, on the verge of a breakthrough, on the verge of maybe this new step that you're going to take and these changes that you're going to implement into your life. Yeah, it could be an exciting thing, like you mentioned.
Yeah, like you're trusting your expansion a little bit more. Like that this needs to happen. That this is a shift that you're really taking on into your life, and you're trusting that with yourself through this aspect. So it cools it down. It's still a sextile. It's still not going to be the main event, but it's still going to be this like current that's like, hey, it's okay. We can do this. I can believe in this, and this is exciting. And let's just try it.
Yeah, that's good. Mm.
Mhm. And then we end this week with Mercury entering into Aries. This is going to be where, just a little precursor, by the way, end of the month on April, Mercury will be retrograde in Aries. So we're going to get a lot of Mercury in Aries.
Hmm.
But for right now, this is going to, open up our mind from the less like wishy-washy kind of thinking, more emotionally charged thinking and speech, perhaps, and moving towards a more passionate, like you said, the Aries, like there's that go-getter energy that's coming back into light. Like, okay, I have these ideas. I have these ideas. Let me share them. Let's still try them out. Let's test them out. More energy probably shifting in that direction now.
Yeah, definitely. I think, there's such a difference here, I feel like, between Pisces and Aries. This
Mm-hmm.
is a definite vibe shift. Mercury in Pisces is head in the clouds, imaginative, poetic, and then we've got this shift from to Mercury in Aries, and we're more, I feel like we could be more sharp, more quick, more like,
Mm-hmm.
things associated with Aries. I don't know what else.
More
More,
authoritative,
yeah, authoritative.
headstrong,
Mm-mm.
risky. Those are all things. Yeah. And too, like astrologically, this is now we're getting into that start of the new year. We're not quite into spring season yet, but this is this taste of like, hey, it's coming. This is this rebirth. So it's like this coming out of your dark meditative cave into the world. Like, let's go, charge forward, take the
Mm-hmm.
action.
Yeah, good note. Yeah, we could even be, it's interesting here that Mercury enters Aries before we enter Aries season, because we could
Mm-hmm.
be thinking about those new starts before they actually uh arrive. Like
Yes.
we're on the path. We're like, oh, that new start is around the corner. This is like when you start thinking about maybe I should do a spring cleaning, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe, it's like you're thinking about the changes you want to make. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And then this is getting you more ramped up, which I think is exciting because, having something that you're working towards is motivating. And that's really Aries season is a lot about motivation, honestly.
Yeah, yeah. And then yeah, we're only on the 9th. So
Hmm.
in like 2.5 weeks after that we'll be reaching spring season. We'll shift
Yes.
shift seasons. So
Yeah.
we're at the tail end of winter right now.
Yeah, we are. We're in that mutable shifting out of winter, getting a taste of spring, still in winter, but getting out of that seed element into the sprout into the growth, into the coming out of the ground to share information. I love Aries because I don't like the pull Pisces through like Capricorn season, like none of that.
Yeah, that one's a tricky one. Yeah, it's not the most fun for sure. Especially if you're like in like winter, like somewhere where it's like legit winter, it can be a really dark time.
Oh yeah, I don't even know why I'm complaining, but
Yeah, Maddie's in Florida, so she has nothing to complain about.
hey, it was a colder winter, I feel like. Okay.
Yeah, it might have been. Yeah, that's true. I mean, it does get like 40s down there, no?
Not where I'm at. More like
Oh,
60s. That's what I'm talking
okay.
about.
Sure. Bundle up, everyone.
um, but that is it for this week. Did you have anything else for that?
No, I think that's it. Yep. Um,
We are
looking.
leaning on a cliffhanger because we have the new moon in Pisces, like starting right early morning, 5 a.m. on the 10th. But you'll just have to wait for the next podcast for that.
Yeah, tune into the next one. Thanks for listening to this one.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.